Introduction. Catherine the Great, a name synonymous with power, intellect, and resilience, stands as one of history's most remarkable figures. Born Sophia Augusta Frederica in 1729 to a minor German noble family, she ascended to the Russian throne and transformed her adopted country into a dominant European power. Her journey, chronicled in Robert K. Massie's Catherine the Great, Portrait of a Woman, is a compelling narrative of personal ambition, political intrigue, and cultural enlightenment. Massie's biography brings Catherine to life not merely as an extraordinary ruler but as a complex individual navigating the trials of a patriarchal and turbulent world. The young German princess arrived in Russia as a 14-year-old bride-to-be, entering a court fraught with political strife and dominated by the formidable Empress Elizabeth. Married to the ineffectual and erratic Peter III, Catherine faced years of isolation and frustration. Yet, with a keen mind and unyielding determination, she plotted her rise, culminating in a dramatic coup that would secure her reign as empress. As ruler, Catherine embraced Enlightenment ideals, engaging in intellectual correspondence with luminaries such as Voltaire and Diderot. Her policies championed education, cultural advancement, and health reform, earning her the title of an enlightened despot. However, Catherine's reign was not without challenges. The complexities of Russian society, including the institution of serfdom, tested her ideals against the practical realities of governance. Additionally, rebellions, diplomatic tensions, and personal scandals added layers of complexity to her rule. Massie's narrative goes beyond the politics and policies, delving into Catherine's personal life, her romances, vulnerabilities, and relationships with key figures such as Grigory Potemkin. The biography paints a rich and nuanced portrait of a woman who defied societal constraints and left an indelible mark on history. Through her intellect and charisma, Catherine transformed not only Russia but also the perception of female rulers in a male-dominated world. In Catherine the Great, Portrait of a Woman, readers are invited to journey through the life of a ruler who was as brilliant as she was human. Massie's meticulous research and engaging prose offer a window into Catherine's mind and her era, making this biography both a historical masterpiece and an exploration of leadership, ambition, and the enduring power of a visionary woman. Chapter 1: The Making of a Princess. Catherine the Great's story begins in the small German principality of Anhalt-Zerbst, where she was born as Sophia Augusta Frederica in 1729. Her upbringing, while unremarkable in privilege compared to the grandeur she would later embody, laid the foundation for her transformation into one of the most influential rulers in history. Sophia's early life was shaped by her ambitious and calculating mother, Joanna Elizabeth, who sought to elevate her family's status through strategic marriages. Joanna was a domineering presence, often critical and distant, but her relentless ambition instilled in Sophia a resilience that would serve her well in the complex world of court politics. Her father, Christian August, a mild-mannered and scholarly man, provided a contrasting influence. From him, Sophia inherited a keen intellect and a penchant for discipline, traits that would define her approach to governance and self-reinvention. At the age of 14, Sophia's life took a dramatic turn when Joanna secured an invitation to the Russian court of Empress Elizabeth. The Empress, seeking a bride for her heir, Grand Duke Peter, saw potential in Sophia, despite the young girl's provincial background. Sophia's journey to Russia was marked by anticipation and anxiety, as she left behind the familiarity of her homeland for the grandeur and intrigue of St. Petersburg. Upon her arrival, the young German princess quickly recognized the need to adapt to her new environment. She immersed herself in Russian culture, learning the language, converting to Russian orthodoxy, and adopting the name Catherine in a bid to endear herself to the empress and the Russian people. These gestures were not merely acts of diplomacy but indicators of Catherine's exceptional ability to navigate unfamiliar and often hostile terrain. Her transformation from Sophia to Catherine was both symbolic and strategic, reflecting her determination to thrive in her new role. Catherine's early years in Russia, however, were fraught with challenges. Her marriage to Grand Duke Peter proved to be a source of frustration and disillusionment. Peter, immature and erratic, was ill-suited for his role as heir and as a husband. Catherine, meanwhile, found herself sidelined in a court rife with intrigue and dominated by the formidable Empress Elizabeth. Despite these obstacles, Catherine's intelligence and charm allowed her to build alliances and quietly assert her influence. During this period, Catherine also began her intellectual journey, devouring the works of Enlightenment philosophers such as Voltaire and Montesquieu. These ideas of progress, reason, and governance resonated deeply with her and began shaping her vision for the future. Even as she endured the isolation of her unhappy marriage and the scrutiny of the court, Catherine's mind was alive with possibilities. The seeds of greatness were sown during these formative years. Catherine's resilience, adaptability, and intellectual curiosity transformed her from a minor German princess into a woman poised to seize her destiny. Though she could not yet foresee the dramatic events that would catapult her to power, the foundation of her extraordinary reign was already being laid. Chapter 2: The Path to Power. Catherine's rise to power was a tale of calculated risk, political intrigue, and an extraordinary will to survive and thrive in a perilous environment. As the young Grand Duchess navigated the complexities of life at the Russian court, she began to craft her path to sovereignty with a blend of patience, intelligence, and ambition. Her marriage to Grand Duke Peter was a constant source of disappointment. Peter's immaturity and erratic behavior made him a deeply unpopular figure at court and a poor candidate for leadership. His fascination with Prussian military customs and disdain for Russian culture alienated the very people he was meant to rule. Catherine, by contrast, embraced Russian traditions and presented herself as a devoted and capable leader in waiting. Her commitment to the Orthodox Church, fluency in Russian, and ability to connect with the nobility and military earned her respect and admiration, further highlighting Peter's inadequacies. Behind the scenes, Catherine was not idle. She cultivated relationships with influential figures, including members of the Russian military and nobility who shared her concerns about Peter's unsuitability as a ruler. Among these allies were the Orlov brothers, particularly Grigory Orlov, a charismatic officer who became Catherine's lover and a key figure in her plans for a coup d'état. Their relationship was both romantic and political, as Catherine relied on Grigory and his brothers to secure military support for her eventual bid for power. The death of Empress Elizabeth in 1762 marked a pivotal moment in Catherine's journey. Peter III ascended to the throne, but his reign was short-lived and disastrous. His unpopular policies, including an ill-conceived alliance with Prussia and his plans to strip the Orthodox Church of its power, alienated the Russian elite. Sensing an opportunity, Catherine moved swiftly and decisively. In July 1762, with the backing of the Orlovs and the military, Catherine launched her coup. Donning a military uniform and addressing the troops directly, she presented herself as the true guardian of Russian interests and values. Her eloquence and charisma rallied the soldiers to her cause, and within hours, Peter was deposed without significant resistance. He was later imprisoned and mysteriously killed, though Catherine's direct involvement in his death remains a subject of historical debate. The coup was a stunning success, but it also marked the beginning of a challenging and transformative period for Catherine. Her ascension to the throne was not guaranteed to secure her legitimacy. As a foreign-born ruler, she faced skepticism and opposition from factions within the nobility and military. To solidify her position, Catherine worked tirelessly to project an image of stability, strength, and benevolence. She adopted the title of Empress of all Russia and framed her reign as a continuation of Peter the Great's vision for modernization and reform. Catherine's rise to power was an extraordinary feat of political acumen and courage. Through her careful maneuvering and willingness to take bold risks, she not only claimed the throne but also set the stage for a reign that would redefine Russian history. Chapter 3: Enlightenment and Governance. Catherine the Great's reign began with a bold vision to transform Russia into a modern, enlightened nation. Deeply influenced by the European Enlightenment, she sought to bring progressive ideals to her vast empire while navigating the practical and political realities of governance. Her commitment to intellectual growth and reform defined her as one of history's most intriguing monarchs. From the outset, Catherine saw education as the cornerstone of progress. She believed that a well-educated population was essential for a strong and prosperous nation. Under her reign, Catherine established Russia's first state-funded schools for both boys and girls, an unprecedented step in a time when education was often reserved for the elite. She introduced educational reforms based on the principles of reason and humanism, inspired by her correspondence with leading European thinkers such as Voltaire and Diderot. Catherine's admiration for Enlightenment ideals extended to legal and administrative reforms. In 1767, she convened the Legislative Commission, a bold initiative to codify Russian law and address issues such as serfdom, criminal justice, and civil rights. Her nakaz, or instruction, was a sweeping document influenced by the works of Montesquieu and Beccaria, advocating for equality before the law and the abolition of torture. However, the commission faced resistance from the conservative nobility, and its efforts to enact significant change were ultimately stymied. Despite its limited impact, the nakaz remains a testament to Catherine's ambition to align Russian governance with Enlightenment values. Catherine also sought to strengthen the Russian economy and expand its territorial influence. She implemented policies to encourage trade, modernized agricultural practices, and promoted the development of industries. Her efforts to stimulate economic growth were accompanied by a vigorous foreign policy, marked by the annexation of Crimea and the expansion of Russian territory in the west and south. These achievements elevated Russia's status as a major European power. However, Catherine's reign was far from idyllic. The contradictions between her enlightened ideals and the realities of Russian society became increasingly apparent. The institution of serfdom, which she initially sought to reform, deepened during her reign. To secure the support of the nobility, Catherine granted them greater control over their serfs, effectively binding millions of peasants to lives of poverty and oppression. The Pugachev Rebellion of 1773 to 1775, a massive uprising of serfs and Cossacks, exposed the fragility of her social policies and forced Catherine to prioritize stability over reform. Despite these challenges, Catherine's cultural patronage left a lasting legacy. She founded the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, amassing one of the world's greatest art collections. Her support for the arts and sciences fostered a vibrant intellectual climate that brought Russia closer to Europe's cultural forefront. Catherine's governance exemplified the tension between idealism and pragmatism. While she embraced the Enlightenment's call for reason and progress, the pressures of ruling a vast and diverse empire often necessitated compromise. Her reign illuminated both the potential and the limits of enlightened despotism, shaping Russia's path toward modernization and solidifying her place as a visionary ruler. Chapter 4: The Coup and the Consolidation of Power. Catherine the Great's ascension to the throne was not the result of a smooth transition but a carefully orchestrated coup d'état. This pivotal moment not only marked her rise to power but also demonstrated her political acumen, resilience, and ability to navigate the perilous world of Russian court politics. In 1762, Catherine's husband, Peter III, ascended to the Russian throne. His short reign was marked by incompetence and decisions that alienated both the nobility and the military. Peter's pro-Prussian policies, including his decision to withdraw from the 7 Years' War and seek an alliance with Frederick the Great of Prussia, caused widespread discontent among the Russian elite. His erratic behavior and open disdain for Russian culture further fueled opposition. Catherine, meanwhile, carefully cultivated relationships with key figures in the military and aristocracy, positioning herself as a more capable and sympathetic alternative. The coup unfolded in dramatic fashion. With the backing of the Imperial Guard, Catherine overthrew her husband in a bloodless coup on June 28, 1762. She declared herself Empress of Russia, securing her legitimacy by framing her actions as necessary to preserve the nation's stability and traditions. Peter III was arrested and later died under mysterious circumstances, likely murdered by conspirators seeking to secure Catherine's position. Though the exact details remain unclear, this event underscored the ruthlessness of the power struggles within the Russian monarchy. Once on the throne, Catherine faced the immense challenge of consolidating her rule in a deeply patriarchal society. As a woman and a foreigner, she had to navigate skepticism and opposition from those who doubted her ability to govern. Catherine responded by demonstrating her competence and strength as a leader. She worked tirelessly to maintain the loyalty of the military and nobility, granting privileges to the latter to ensure their support. Catherine's diplomatic skills were crucial in stabilizing her reign. She corresponded with European monarchs and philosophers, crafting an image of herself as an enlightened ruler dedicated to progress and reform. Her ability to balance domestic power dynamics with international relations helped solidify her legitimacy and expand Russia's influence on the global stage. Despite these successes, Catherine's rule was not without challenges. She faced internal threats from factions loyal to Peter III and external pressures from rival powers. The Pugachev Rebellion, an insurrection led by a pretender claiming to be Peter III, highlighted the volatility of her reign and the deep discontent among Russia's oppressed peasantry. Catherine responded with decisive military action, crushing the rebellion and reasserting her authority. The coup that brought Catherine to power and her subsequent consolidation of authority illustrate her extraordinary political savvy and determination. While her path to the throne was fraught with moral and ethical complexities, her ability to navigate these challenges solidified her position as one of history's most remarkable rulers. Chapter 5: Catherine's Reforms and the Enlightenment Vision. Once secure on the throne, Catherine the Great embarked on an ambitious program of reform, seeking to modernize Russia in line with the ideals of the European Enlightenment. Her reign marked a transformative era in Russian history, characterized by efforts to improve governance, foster education, and promote the arts. However, Catherine's aspirations often collided with the entrenched realities of Russian society, revealing the complexities of her leadership. Enlightenment ideals in governance. Catherine was deeply influenced by the intellectual movement of the Enlightenment, particularly the writings of philosophers like Voltaire, Diderot, and Montesquieu. Through extensive correspondence with these figures, Catherine positioned herself as a ruler who valued reason, progress, and justice. Her most ambitious attempt to codify Enlightenment principles came in 1767 with the drafting of the Nakaz, a political document that outlined her vision for a new legal system based on equality and the rule of law. The Nakaz was revolutionary in its rhetoric, advocating for the abolition of torture, the protection of individual freedoms, and the fair treatment of all subjects under the law. Catherine convened a legislative commission, composed of representatives from various social classes, to discuss the implementation of these ideas. However, the commission ultimately dissolved without achieving significant reform, hampered by resistance from the nobility and the logistical challenges of governing such a vast empire. Social and educational reforms. Catherine's commitment to progress extended beyond governance to include education and social welfare. Recognizing the importance of an educated populace, she established schools for boys and girls, laying the groundwork for Russia's first system of state-funded education. She also founded the Smolny Institute for Noble Maidens, the first educational institution for women in Russia, reflecting her belief in the value of education for all social classes. Catherine's reforms reached into public health as well. She promoted vaccination campaigns to combat smallpox, even famously undergoing inoculation herself to set an example for her subjects. Hospitals and charitable institutions were established under her patronage, improving access to medical care and assistance for the poor. Cultural flourishing and the arts. Catherine's reign is often celebrated as a golden age of Russian culture. She was an avid patron of the arts, sponsoring theatrical productions, commissioning architectural projects, and acquiring vast collections of European art that would later form the foundation of the Hermitage Museum. Her support for cultural development extended to literature and philosophy, as she encouraged the translation of foreign works into Russian and supported the publication of local authors. The limits of reform. Despite her lofty ideals, Catherine's reforms often fell short of their transformative potential. Her inability, or unwillingness, to address serfdom remains one of the most controversial aspects of her reign. While she initially expressed a desire to improve the condition of Russia's serfs, the economic and political realities of her rule forced her to prioritize the support of the nobility, who depended on the institution of serfdom. Over time, Catherine's policies even entrenched the system further, leading to greater disparities between the elite and the peasantry. Catherine's Enlightenment-inspired vision was both bold and pragmatic, reflecting the challenges of implementing progressive ideals within the constraints of 18th-century Russia. Her reforms left a lasting legacy, setting the stage for future developments while highlighting the complexities of balancing ambition with political necessity. Chapter 6: Catherine's Legacy and Enduring Impact. Catherine the Great's 34-year reign marked one of the most transformative periods in Russian history, shaping the nation's political, cultural, and intellectual landscape. By the time of her death in 1796, Catherine had solidified her place as one of history's most impactful rulers. Her legacy, however, is not without its contradictions, a blend of progressive ideals, political pragmatism, and the limitations of autocratic power. Expanding Russia's reach and influence. One of Catherine's most enduring achievements was the expansion of Russian territory. Through strategic diplomacy and military campaigns, she secured significant gains, including access to the Black Sea and Crimea, thereby bolstering Russia's position as a European power. The annexation of Polish territory during the partitions of Poland further cemented her influence, reshaping the map of Eastern Europe. Under her reign, Russia emerged as a formidable force, no longer seen as a peripheral kingdom but as a key player in continental affairs. Catherine's foreign policy successes demonstrated her acumen as a leader who could balance military might with diplomatic finesse. Her negotiations with European powers and alliances, particularly with Austria and Prussia, highlighted her ability to navigate the complexities of 18th-century geopolitics. Cultural patronage and intellectual contributions. Catherine's cultural patronage significantly influenced Russia's intellectual and artistic development. Her efforts to modernize Russian society through education, the arts, and literature fostered a golden age of cultural flourishing. The Hermitage Museum, which she founded with her vast collection of European art, remains one of her most visible legacies, symbolizing her commitment to bringing Enlightenment ideals to Russia. Her correspondence with leading Enlightenment thinkers, including Voltaire and Diderot, reinforced her reputation as a philosophically minded ruler. Catherine's intellectual pursuits were not merely symbolic, they influenced her policies and reflected her desire to position Russia as a beacon of progress and sophistication. The contradictions of reform and autocracy. Despite her accomplishments, Catherine's reign was defined by striking contradictions. While she championed Enlightenment ideals, her policies often reflected the realities of autocratic rule. The most glaring example was her approach to serfdom. Although she initially sought to improve the condition of serfs, the need to maintain the loyalty of the nobility led her to reinforce the feudal system. This tension between idealism and pragmatism underscored the challenges of enacting meaningful reform in a deeply hierarchical society. Catherine's handling of domestic uprisings, particularly the Pugachev Rebellion, revealed the limits of her progressive vision. The rebellion, driven by the grievances of the peasantry, forced Catherine to confront the stark inequalities within her empire. Her response, decisive and repressive, highlighted the precarious balance between her enlightened aspirations and the necessity of maintaining order. A woman of complexity and resilience. Massie's portrayal of Catherine captures the multifaceted nature of her character. As a ruler, she was both strategic and empathetic, driven by a genuine desire to improve the lives of her people while navigating the constraints of her position. As a woman, she defied societal expectations, using her intelligence and charm to command respect in a male-dominated world. Her relationships, though controversial, humanized her and revealed her vulnerabilities, showcasing a leader who sought both personal fulfillment and professional excellence. Enduring legacy. Catherine's legacy endures not only in Russia but also in the broader context of global history. She is remembered as a ruler who expanded the boundaries of her empire, modernized its institutions, and championed cultural and intellectual growth. At the same time, her reign invites reflection on the complexities of power, the challenges of reform, and the interplay between ambition and responsibility. Catherine the Great remains a towering figure in history, a woman who rose above her circumstances to leave an indelible mark on her nation and the world. Her story is one of resilience, vision, and the enduring struggle to reconcile ideals with reality. Conclusion: the enduring legacy of Catherine the Great. Catherine the Great's extraordinary journey from an obscure German princess to one of history's most iconic rulers epitomizes resilience, vision, and the complexities of power. Her reign left an indelible mark on Russia, transforming it into a dominant European force while fostering a cultural and intellectual awakening that resonated beyond her lifetime. A ruler of contrasts. Catherine's life and reign were marked by contrasts. She embraced Enlightenment ideals, corresponding with intellectual giants like Voltaire and Diderot, yet she ruled as an autocrat, navigating the inherent contradictions between progressive philosophy and the realities of absolute power. Her efforts to modernize Russia showcased her ambition and intellect, but they also revealed the limitations imposed by her reliance on the nobility and the entrenched social hierarchies of her time. While her rule expanded education, healthcare, and cultural patronage, it also saw the consolidation of serfdom and the suppression of domestic uprisings, exposing the tension between her ideals and the demands of governance. The woman behind the throne. Robert K. Massie's Catherine the Great, Portrait of a Woman offers a nuanced depiction of Catherine, portraying her not merely as a sovereign but as a deeply human figure. Her personal struggles, complex relationships, and relentless pursuit of knowledge provide a portrait of a woman who defied societal expectations to leave an unparalleled legacy. Her romantic liaisons, often sensationalized, were integral to her life, serving as sources of companionship and political alliance, while her profound intellect and charm earned her respect across Europe. A lasting impact. Catherine's impact extended far beyond her death in 1796. Under her leadership, Russia expanded its territories, became a significant player on the European stage, and experienced a cultural renaissance. Institutions like the Hermitage Museum stand as enduring testaments to her vision, while her contributions to governance and diplomacy continue to inspire discussions about leadership and reform. Her life is a testament to the complexities of leadership, where ambition and pragmatism, idealism and compromise often coexist. Catherine's ability to navigate these complexities, while leaving a legacy of progress and innovation, cements her place among the great rulers of history. Lessons from Catherine's reign. Catherine the Great's story offers timeless lessons on resilience, adaptability, and the power of intellect. She exemplifies the capacity to rise above adversity, to wield influence with strategic acumen, and to balance personal ambition with the needs of a nation. Her legacy reminds us that history is shaped not only by grand conquests but also by the cultural and intellectual advancements that define a civilization. In the end, Catherine the Great emerges as more than a historical figure. She is a symbol of determination and complexity, a ruler who transformed her nation and left an enduring legacy for generations to come.